What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are standing here in the bed of this 2019 Nissan Titan that is in need of some work. But in today's video, we're going to talk through the process of how to get your vehicle shipped from where you purchased it to the location of your choice. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to go through the process of trying to find a transporter for your vehicle. Typically, people might go into a Google search and look up auto transport quote. Now, what you'll find is you get a bunch of different options that come up. Obviously, a lot of these companies are paying to show up at the top. But in essence, we're going to go through some of the steps that I take when looking for a transporter, but also going to explain to you how this process works. So typically, when you go to any one of these auto transport company sites, they are not the ones that are physically shipping your car. These are what are called the brokers. So you have the person that needs to move the car, you've got the broker in between, and you've got the actual, we'll say, transporter company, the hauler. So the broker is sitting in between. So a company like Montway Auto Transport is probably going to be a broker. And when you come to their site, you'll have the opportunity to put in where you're leaving from, where you're going to, and whether it's open or enclosed. And all of these variations play into the price of the actual quote that they give you. So let's get into that now. So there are a couple different options. There are sites like Move My Car where you enter in your information and in essence, you could say bids go out. So like whichever companies are subscribed to this particular platform, they get a hit, or we'll say they get a lead, and they send out all these leads to these various companies, and boom, you start getting emails or text or what have you, sharing that information. Another one that I believe I use as well, there's Shipley. Also, same process here, and then you've got CarShip. And then you've also got UShip. Now, UShip, in my opinion, from the past, the very first time I shipped a car, I did find a transporter, or I should say a broker, off of UShip. The second time around, I ended up, I think, finding a different transporter through, I think, Move My Car. And then the last time, it was a similar thing. I used a couple different sites to push out those leads, and so I did get a bunch of information coming in. So again, the process is you send out your information, it turns into a lead that goes out to several companies that are now bidding for your business. So now let's jump into what some of those pricing structures look like. So when we take a look, you can see tons of emails are coming in with all the information you specify. So they're basically repeating it back to you and then giving you a quote that goes with it. Here are a bunch of texts that have come in also from one of these lead sites. Here's an example of one sending out the information. It says it's going to be $650 inclusive, no money up front. And so one thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you ask and find out what the broker fee is. And is that included in the price they quoted or not? That's a very key point, because a lot of times these companies will quote you, let's say $600, and then in order to book the job, they'll say you need to pay now, an additional $200 or whatever that broker fee is. So make sure you always understand and ask for that broker fee cost and whether it's included in the quote that they've given you or not. Another thing that I found is that, man, there's some automated stuff happening here, because even till this day, I'm still getting quotes or people reaching out, and I don't think it's actually people. I think it's an automated system. So they need to do some work to better utilize their spend to make sure they're still not reaching out for people that ask to ship a car in 2 to 3 days, still reaching out 3 weeks later. And so here's another example of a text that was received. And you can kind of see here, they just keep reaching out. Hey, let me tell you this, that. You're probably getting flooded with calls. We are not bait and switch, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. Still getting texts till of recent this week. And so those are some examples there. Now, one thing I will say about UShip, which is probably why I typically haven't really used UShip, is because the prices are significantly higher than what I've seen from some of these lead sites that I put the information. So you can see here, the prices were coming in pretty high, $1,100 to get this thing shipped. And as you can see, closer to the end, before that listing on UShip expired, the prices were a little bit closer down to $900. I ended up shipping this car for, I believe it was $550. Yeah, it was $550 that I ended up shipping it for. And from the lead sites, some quotes came in as low as $400, but you know, it's always a challenge to figure out whatever criteria it is that you want to use to determine who's going to be that shipper for you. But again, the key thing for you to do is to find out what is the cost of their broker fee, compare the prices, ask the questions that you need to ask. Again, the way the process works is there are leads out there. Companies get leads. Those are typically the brokers. The brokers then, once you say you want to work with them, they will post your bid out onto a load board, and the actual car haulers will see those, and if they're in that area or they're good with that price or whatever, that's where some of the negotiations take part. So sometimes you could be quoted, you know, let's say $400, but this particular guy's like, I'm in the area, but I won't do it for no less than $500 or whatever it may be. So there may be some price changes after the fact. So those quotes aren't always written in stone because when these companies quote you, they're quoting based off of the previous accepted bids historically that have taken place for similar distances in that similar region of location. So, you know, it's not always a guarantee that you're going to get that price, but just wanted to share this information so that you understand how the auto shipping works. Again, these are brokers. They don't physically ship anything. They're just brokering the deal between you, the customer, and the actual auto transport car hauler. So hope you're able to learn something from this video. As for that, we're done with this one, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.